day
Worked
after
a week from
Christmas.
home, but damn, that was brutal.
Yeah.
It was so bad that Paul was so weak. He fell out of bed one time and I almost thought I was gonna have to call the ambulance to help him get back in. I was like, I was sick too. It's like,
Keep your germs to yourself.
Yeah, well, we're way past it now, thank goodness. All right, how are we doing on time?
So we're good to start whenever you're ready.
Okay, let's call this meeting to order. It is the meeting of the Lunenburg Park Commission, Wednesday, January 15th at 7 p.m. In accordance with the requirements of the open meeting law, please be advised that this meeting is being recorded and it will be broadcasted over the Lunenburg Public Access channel and uploaded to the Lunenburg Access YouTube channel. This meeting will be held in person at the location provided on the notice. And the agenda lists all the topics which may be discussed at the meeting and are those reasonably anticipated by the chair. Votes may be taken as a result of these discussions. However, not all items listed may in fact be discussed, and other items not listed may also be brought up for the discussion to the extent permitted by the open meeting law. So, let's take a roll call. So we have,
Karen Menard.
okay,
Chris Sullivan. Tim Wallace.
and myself, Anita Shipers, and we also have with us tonight in person, Angela, for our recreation director, and we have online, I believe, Chris, who is our facilities director. Okay. So, Chris, facility director's update.
He may not have audio yet. He's just coming on.
Oh, okay.
I just got
Update.
on.
Perfect.
I heard the tail end of facilities update. At the moment, not a whole lot on our end since most of the stuff is covered in snow. I'm sure Angela will have more of an update on her end.
Okay, do we have any specific questions of Chris? Okay, we may have
Yeah,
more,
I
Chris,
think
in a
so.
second.
Yeah, I don't think I do with this one.
Yeah, no worries.
Okay. Angela.
He's been lucking out lately.
Yeah.
So I'll just start town beach stuff. Julie did post lifeguard posting, as well as the beach director posting.
Okay,
So she gave me like a SharePoint, so we got, I think, only one application in so far for lifeguards. But we are starting to at least get them in. So I'm in the process of that. She does want to be a part of the interviews or have me do them with Chris. So we'll have to discuss that with him. It just really depends on whose schedule works better. I assume me and him could probably find a better time to actually meet with somebody, but
yeah,
that's just something to think about. What else do I have in terms of the beach? So I did give Karen a like printout of all the MyRec stuff that we talked about.
yes,
And it basically is the POS system at the beach house, and it just says how many times people are scanned in, you know, what times a day, what days were the most popular, that type of thing.
mhm,
So I gave her a list of that. I don't really know if you went through
I
that
started to go
fully.
through it. Yeah.
I did look up more just times of the day throughout like the entire summer to see a pattern. It is insane, the amount of people from like 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. I'm sure half of that is swim lessons.
4 weeks those 4 weeks should have been very heavy.
Yeah, so in general, for the whole season, basically, which we opened June 24th, we closed around, I think, August 19th. Total scans for the whole summer of like 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. was like 1,200. And then any other time of the day, like 1 p.m. to 4 was 366 for the whole summer, and then 4 o'clock to 7 was 183. So big pattern. I think a lot of it is the swim lessons. But other than that, you can see that we definitely need more staff in the morning
Yeah.
and are a lot later in the afternoon, and past 4, it's pretty quiet. I also was tossing around the idea of possibly offering, depending on staffing, WSI, you know, beach director, all that, offering like afternoon lessons Monday through Friday. So right now how it works is it's a 2-week, you need to come Monday through Friday for 2 weeks. I think that's hard for parents to kind of have them come every single day. I think usually they probably have somebody else coming also to help with the drop off of that. But I'm hoping to be able to offer maybe like the 2 hours in the morning and then maybe an hour in the afternoon, sometime after 4.
mhm.
I think that'll help boost numbers of people coming later. But I think also that'll be better for parents, and we'll have more ability to offer swim lessons, cause last session it was completely full.
My kid's always waking up at 3 PM after his nap.
Yeah.
I'm like, what are we gonna do?
Right, right. So stuff like that. The other thing, I did ask Julie about, starting lifeguards at a higher step if they have their WSI, and she thinks that's something we're able to offer them. I don't know how that works for returning lifeguards. I don't know if we can just adjust their step if they're returning. But she
If
did
they have the
say,
WSI.
yeah. So that's my only thing. I think hopefully we'll get more people that wanna get their WSI. Which, like I said, that's essential for the swim lessons, so that's a big concern of mine for this coming summer.
Do we still reimburse do we reimburse for WSI?
Yeah,
The same way we do with.
Yes.
Swim lessons?
yeah, it does take a little bit, and we don't reimburse until we get. It's kind of a lot, it's the receipt, we need a copy of like the back of the card with all the card numbers and just like everything blanked out for the last 4. And then we have like a whole Excel form that I have to have them fill out. So getting the reimbursed does take a little bit.
So there's a, the reimbursements have changed a little bit. We don't need the cards or any of that, and now it's direct deposit. It should be quicker, although I have not tried it yet, but the policy just changed as of the first of the year.
Oh, that's good. Okay, that's helpful.
So is that something you can, once you start looking at your lifeguards, the applications that you get to start thinking about interviewing and hiring, however you're gonna work it, that they can be, if Julie does think that that's an option, that we can notify, or you guys can notify them, the lifeguards that, you know, have already applied, or we might be hiring to say, hey,
Yeah.
if you go get this, which we will pay for, you'll also get a pay increase.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
I mean, I think it's important to make sure that, even people who have worked with us in the past, who haven't, received any additional compensation for having it, if we're giving it to new people, they
Right.
definitely need to have it as well.
Yeah, of course.
So it's.
I just don't know how that would work in terms of like adjusting the steps if they're already at a certain step. I don't know. Do we reevaluate that every year for returning people?
Do we reevaluate their steps?
Yeah, so
They-
my assumption was that they kind of just go up a step every year, but I don't.
Yeah, they do. Their step gets adjusted every year as they.
And could they like skip a step if,
Sure.
for instance, they do have the WSI? So I don't know like the background of how we would necessarily do that. That's more of a question that I'd have to really dig in with Julie. But I think the ability to compensate them is gonna change. And I think, yeah, of course, returning people as well. Because I know we do have one who's interested in getting her WSI. She did swim lessons last year, and I think she might be the only one returning that has done swim lessons. So that's really important. So I
Yeah.
definitely want to make sure she gets what she needs. that she
Right, whatever we
actually
can
has
do to encourage people to come back
Yeah,
is
of course.
important.
Yeah, a lot of people seem to kind of up in the air, like, oh, I might be back, I might not, so it's tough to tell how many people we really need to hire. I think a lot of it's just, it's so early in the process, but I don't think it hurts right now to post it and just see, who's available and get new applications in.
Where's the job posted?
I assume on our website, she
Didn't
sent
see
it to me.
There-
Oh, I didn't
and
see it yet.
Is it on Indeed as well? Usually it's on.
I don't know if it's on Indeed or not, she sent me the,
Or if you can send me the link.
yeah.
I have a friend whose daughter took a lifeguard class.
Yeah. And I did send an email to Michelle at Boys and Girls Club just to see if any of her kids would be interested in possibly getting theirs as well.
Teen center now.
Yeah, teen center now. So much changing.
Yeah,
So
when did
that,
that happen?
Like first of the year.
Yeah,
Okay,
Yeah.
it's not, it's called the club.
The club.
The club.
so you're wrong too.
It's back to its original roots.
I have to wonder, be completely honest here, I'm sort of having a bit of a panic attack that we may be in a position where we don't have somebody, a beach coordinator to run the beach. And I'm wondering if we should be even more proactive and look at what some of the area colleges are offer for majors. And I'm wondering if there's something in there like
Internship.
well, not even an internship, but like, I'm wondering if they offer some majors that would correlate well with being a beach coordinator, that if we, contacted some of these programs now to say, this is what we're hiring for, can you post it to your students? This is what they need, because some of them could be coming in with a background that would qualify them to be the coordinator or something, they just need to get
Right,
the other pieces. I mean, I don't wanna see us in a, in a bind come, May, for a variety of reasons, but one, we'd be hiring lifeguards, and then if we don't have a beach coordinator, what are we gonna do? you know?
And I think I talked to Chris a little bit about that because I was unsure if like we're gonna be able to fill the position. That's obviously a worry of mine. In terms of like the background stuff, I don't mind putting kids in certain, levels, getting all that information together, doing that. That's obviously a lot of extra work. But I feel like worst comes to worst, that's the issue. The only thing is, I don't know if, say we don't have somebody and we have 2 or 3 lifeguards with their WSI. Is that all that's required? Because for swim lessons, that's all we really need. So as like vital as it is to have a beach director, I'm thinking like if worst comes to worst, like how we can work around it. But like I'm comfortable obviously making like this, the lifeguard schedule, things like that. It's just like a lot of extra stuff on my plate, plus all the programs that I usually run are either like really early in the morning, at the same
Right.
time we're doing swim lessons, or
Right.
all day. So that makes it really tough for me to be there.
Mhm.
So, I think it's a good idea to look at local colleges.
I can look too.
Yeah.
I'm just, I think we need to think a little bit outside the box here because sorry, I couldn't mute one of my kids and now I can't figure out how to shut this stuff off. So even though the phone's on mute, it comes through. We've posted this job, I think since I started here, and we've never had another applicant other than the ones that we've been. So Jen Nass was the only one when she was with us, then her daughter was the only one after that. We don't have a good track record of attracting more people, so thinking outside the box may be something we have to do.
Yeah,
Um,
I think also just having it either on our website or Indeed, Indeed obviously gets a lot more traction, but I think us just having it on the website, people don't think like, oh, I'm gonna go click on their website to see
Yeah,
what they're
Could you
offering.
push it out via,
maybe
Could you-
social media accounts.
we can do it via social media
That's what I
accounts
was
too, but
thinking too.
maybe throw together a couple of Canva flyers.
Okay,
That we could push out on social media, but I'm wondering if you should do, and I don't think we've ever done this, how through MyRec, you can email everybody.
yeah,
I'm wondering if you should, I wonder if you should put together a simple email that's like, this is what we're hiring for these new positions. And blast that out too to see if we
Yeah.
can find some.
cause we have a lot of people that like aren't even, necessarily residents. We have a lot of people in the system,
Because,
so,
I mean, we could. This would be a great job for a teacher,
yeah,
my son works a second job as a teacher. It would be a great job for somebody like that.
yeah,
And I think what they need to realize is that, we do, to some extent, work around their availability in terms of when we open the beach. And we
Right.
have always done that. So if we don't open until right after school ends, it's not conflicting with their other jobs. So I think anything we can do to get the word out there.
Yeah,
I
agree.
In a different manner than we have in the past.
And one other thing in regards to that, so Julie just asked like, when would you like the seasonal posting from start date to end date? I did extend it on the front end of it. In terms of training, making sure we're able to, get the seasonal people in and train them, so I think I did a start date of like May 19th, that gives us
There's
a
no
solid
harm.
month.
You could have given us.
Yeah,
You could have filled it out for that entire time frame. It
Yeah.
doesn't mean we have to employ people for that
yeah,
entire.
so I just thought at least a month on the front end of that will give us time if we do find the right candidates to
Yeah,
get
so
them
Tim, we
trained.
have to apply for a seasonal employee status, so that's what this is, and we have to apply for it every year with the state. And it's a certain number of days that we can hire, that we can employ a seasonal employee.
Yeah.
So that's what this conversation is about, it's like when it opens versus when it's closing, because you can't go past.
20 weeks.
Yeah,
is what-
so, we're bound by that, and,
That stinks.
Yeah, well, I don't think we've needed it before,
we
so.
have it.
It's the bonus to it. So that's all I have really in terms of the beach for now. Does anyone have questions on the beach specifically?
What about the sign? Did that ever get, sorry, I missed the last 2 meetings, but
No, I have not. I thought I was going down. I made arrangements to go down and then I forgot and then family stuff happened and I haven't gotten more time, but I will attempt to get down there. Okay.
All right,
Oh, do we, beach questions from the beach, name, like, sort of, like, part of the sign, the naming sort of, that's all part and parcel of the same.
Yeah, it would
So we can
be,
do that in spring, summertime.
yeah,
When things kick off.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
But nothing we need to
No.
think about yet, okay.
and I'll get going on it and I'll see if I can get down there next week.
I'm gonna need help hanging it the weekend.
Yeah, we may be okay, but we'll figure it out.
Alright. So other than that, I have a lot of programs kind of running right now, but February vacation, we're offering 2 programs, I think I mentioned that last time. STEM program we'll be doing in the classroom, that they offer half day, so like morning or afternoon, or they offer full day. So we actually have 12 registered right now for full day, so we're almost full.
Gotcha.
So that's good news. And then we also have the MA Sports Leagues, which is the multi-sports program for ages 8 to 12. That's running in the gym. That's just morning. But we have 10 in that, so we have enough to run that. They usually take up to 20. So we still have some room in that.
Those are some of our higher numbers, aren't they?
Yeah,
That's awesome.
we're doing good.
That's awesome.
And then I did open another program for February 7th. It's a Friday afternoon. We had them come last year. It's wildlife encounters. They do a junior zookeeper program, so they bring live animals in. It's really for the whole family, so we did a $30 cap for the family, but it's 10 per person. We're up to like 40, we can take about 60 just chair wise, so we're filling up in that as well. They're great. Last year, I think they brought a tarantula, they brought a turtle, they brought a bunny. They brought some fuzzy thing, I don't remember what it was, but you can at least pet the bunny at the end, so it's a little hands-on.
That's all I care about.
Yeah, exactly, but that was a lot of fun, so we'll be doing that, and we definitely have enough to have them come in and run that. And the only other thing I really have on my brain is the spring vendor fair. I sent a message to Nancy at town hall in regards to what we discussed for like the liability issues.
Mhm.
So she forwarded me to somebody that works with MIA, and her name is Stacy. But basically what I gathered from it is the things I wanted to offer, which is the petting zoo, the bouncy house, the dunk tank. Those aren't covered under our normal insurance.
Okay.
The people coming in do have their own, like, they're gonna add us for additional insurance
Mhm.
under their certificate of liability insurance.
Mhm.
So I think that covers us on that end. She also,
Petting zoo.
for everything.
For everything.
So I'm even getting it for the dunk tank and the bouncy
Okay, cool.
house. So I think it covers us on their end. She also mentioned event coverage specifically, and that I'd have to get quotes for that. I don't know if that's in lieu of if I don't get the certificate of liability insurance and it's listed. I kind of needed a clarification on that because I'm not,
It seemed kind of crazy.
That's, I've never
We've never
heard of
passed
any
that.
other
Never.
group having to
Yeah.
get.
yeah, I feel
Event
like I
coverage.
got some direct answers, but I also got some beating around the bush answers as well, because Josie asked me, to also just ask about her vendors and see like what they needed in place. And I think basically the answer I got from that, I sent her what Josie was sending them in terms of like disclaimers and
Mhm.
liability. And it's just basically make sure like the town of Lunenburg's not held liable.
Right.
So I think that should be sufficient.
You might remember, do you remember an event that went on in town that, it was like there were tables set up and different things going on, and it was so very spread out, like there was something over at historical, the select board had something.
No,
Let me see,
last thing I remember was the fair
at Stillman's,
no, the artisan fair that.
Yeah, yeah.
Did the center.
I don't remember anybody ever needing an event.
I can't imagine.
Additional-
Yeah, I'll send you guys an email just because I had a lot of questions on it. I don't feel like I got a direct answer, but I just want to make sure we're covered in terms of that,
I mean,
so.
that's like saying we need additional event coverage when they have a
Soccer.
football game or a soccer game.
Right.
And we certainly don't do
Right.
that, so.
Yeah, I'll send it to you guys just as like a reference of what was kind of being said.
Town meeting.
Oh, I did ask also Michelle, Boys and Girls Club, just in terms of like 4A forms and stuff. They don't typically use them for one-time events. I don't think that means we shouldn't. I did ask because I'm assuming we'd have to go through Julie at Town Hall to do all of that.
Corey,
She usually
for
does that
Corey,
for volunteers.
for. When you did the, for just volunteers, when you
Right.
did the, drive-through Halloween event,
I
did
wasn't
you have
here.
volunteers?
I wasn't here
You
for
were
that.
part of that, okay.
So I don't know, I think that I would rather have that than not, and not need it than not have it and something happens. So personally, I'd rather have them get Corey checked,
You
just to
could
make sure we
probably
cover our
Corey
bases.
volunteers like in, or
Yeah,
they cover you for 3 years for like all parks programs.
oh, okay,
I think like, yeah, it has to be specific to a
Right.
group.
Yeah.
But like I'm Corey through Lunenburg Youth Soccer
Okay.
for 3 years,
Oh,
but then I
that's
also
good
had to
to
be
know.
Corey for basketball for.
Okay.
Everybody,
And then I did a
like,
soccer program with Parks, and I was
Okay.
Corey by the town hall, it's all,
Right.
but I think you could probably run Corey checks that would cover people under a. Parks program for, and that would. cover
That would be
kids.
great, because I feel like we're gonna get a lot of the same people that would wanna volunteer again next year, et cetera.
Yeah.
I sent you guys a copy of kind of what the rough draft of having people volunteer through, I don't know what website it was. I did fix it, so basically I don't know numbers wise what I'm thinking, but I figured we need parking attendants. Just to be like, can't park here, or this is where you park. We do have the hayride that's gonna be taking people from like the athletic fields lots and bringing them up this way. So we do have that, which is a great option.
You probably want someone to load people onto the.
Yeah, stuff like that, and I figure just to make sure, like, I know we can have cones out and everything to block off the road, but people don't always listen, so I just wanna make sure we have plenty of volume. So I figure we need somebody under there, also dunk tank. I don't know a ton of stuff about that, but I did do some research, and it's basic, like, should be 18 years or older, I guess like 5 feet tall is kind of like the height that they should
I'm out.
be, yeah, right? They should be a certain weight, you know, so like there are like little things like that. I think that specifically, I'd probably want people to sign an actual waiver form separately
Yes.
for that, so I definitely want somebody there in attendance for that, just to make sure that goes smoothly. And then the petting zoo's only coming from 1 o'clock, I believe. 1 to 4, so I only really need somebody there, for like those 3 hours. So I figured, 3 different time slots from the 11 o'clock to 6 o'clock, so it splits it up a little bit. And if you can't do a full day, no big deal, but I'm hoping to send this out, just like the mass email to the Minor Rec people, just to see if we can get volunteers that way.
Mhm.
I did put like a brief thing on here, just volunteers are subject to a query form prior to approval, and then like they must sign their own liability waiver forms. I just wanna make sure everything's covered.
Mhm.
Does that site send the automatic reminders?
I can't figure that out, I don't think so, but I'll look up the site that you
But
said, because maybe that.
Sign Up Genius goes out, so like we use Sign Up Genius for like soccer booster, like working
Yeah.
the snack shack. And so when you go into it's all broken down, schedule with hours, and it shows you the number of volunteers listed, and then you can put. You get, once you sign up, you get an email right away saying you signed up for this, and you can put it in your calendar, but
Okay,
then leading up to the event.
that's
it
really
will-
helpful to
you can
have, so
send-
I'll probably
send
look at, they're
reminders
free
out,
to
like
sign
auto
up for that,
reminders kind of deal.
cause I just found this free.
I think it's
website.
free. I think Sign Up Genius is free. We don't, soccer business doesn't pay for Sign Up Genius, so
Okay,
it's free.
alright, that sounds good. What else regarding that? I think that's really all I have. There's a list of like stuff, I'm like, this is what we're gonna need to buy for it. I definitely want walkie-talkies.
Mm.
Definitely those. I figure we can get volunteer t-shirts. I'll be matching. And then maybe like some cones and tape and stuff to make sure we can like block off what we need to block off.
Do a t-shirt guy in Fitchburg if you need.
Is it? Okay,
He's
perfect.
pretty-
I'll let you know when I get to
He's
that
been
step.
affordable.
That's in May, you said?
Yeah, May 10th. Cool. So other than that, I don't really have much in terms of things to do for that. I'm just trying to kind of cover all my bases there and do stuff. The library did message me back, and they're gonna be doing like cornhole and like ring toss and stuff like
Oh,
that.
that's cool.
And then I did send an email to the new director at the Adult Activity Center. I haven't met her yet, but I just wanna kind of let her know what's going on and see if they want to participate. And, like, I talked to Sue at the end of the year before she left, but she said at least you should probably be able to use like the pavilion at like worst comes to worst, if they're not gonna open the inside or anything or participate, at least we can use that outside area, hopefully.
They're bocce courts, they can run bocce.
Yeah, so I feel like that would be a good option, and hopefully they have some stuff to volunteer as well, and they wanna join, so we'll have everybody on Memorial Drive participating. I think that's everything for me.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah, I know. Been up more than I can chew. Yeah, so if anybody's available that day, that would be fantastic.
College graduation.
Yeah, you already told me you have an excuse.
Other than 5 feet tall?
I'm not even 5 feet.
Yeah, right, see, that exactly, it's supposed to be fun.
Excellent, that's very.
Chris is, says it might be.
Yes, I love that.
Sitting in one spot on 495.
Oh, it's close. Yeah. I got, you're right.
Any other questions for Angela?
No, I think that's great.
Perfect.
Okay.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you guys, am I good to go?
Yeah.
I don't wanna stay, but.
Go home.
Have a good day.
You too.
Good night.
Okay, so Marshall Park updates. Chris, you still available? Yep, okay. So, everybody's got a copy of this? Okay, so, what we're looking at is an updated layout of the planned, Marshall Park renovations. Just to recap for people, since town meeting, when we made the decision to table requesting funds at that point, we have been continuing to work with the landscape design firm and with the OPM to finalize as best we can the improvements at Marshall Park so that we can come back to the voters at the annual town meeting in May and seek funds for whatever phases we as a commission decide we feel are appropriate to move ahead with, to ask funds for. So you may recall the earlier version we were looking at had basically 4 different phases. So what we're looking at now is based on the fact that we're pushing off doing any design work on the wetland areas, the Marshall Pond and those wetlands and that walkway around that. That's all being pushed off for a future date. Based on, you know, the costs that we know them to be and trying to work to make this be a, you know, a somewhat more reasonably cost-effective project to put forward to voters. So the blue and the green areas and pink show what's being currently designed at this point. So the blue area is phase 1, which was kind of similar to the phase 1 we were looking at before. So it would include the improved access off of Mass Ave. It would include parking. It would include the playground, the basketball and pickleball courts, and it would include a pavilion. Well, actually, it has space for the pavilion, but the pavilion itself, right there under that 2B, is in pink. So that would be 2B, not under phase 1. So this new phase 1 gives us a lot more than the original phase 1 that we were looking at. It includes parking. So it really allows us to, you know, get in there and make all of that, you know, southern side of the park be accessible and fully usable, and starts to immediately help with the parking conditions that have always been a concern. Then the green areas include the necessary improvements to the ball fields, to the men's field and to the ladies softball field. Ladies softball field doesn't need as much work. Men's field has always needed more work because of the wetlands. We would need to raise up that level of the field quite a bit. Chris, do you remember details in terms of approximately how much more that needs to be raised up?
The men's field, it was somewhere between 6 inches and a foot, and it was all drainage related because the water table's so high.
Yep. Okay. Phase 2 also includes the parking off of Chestnut Street. So with the, you know, with the phase 1, the blue, the phase 2, the green, you know, we in those 2 phases, we're hitting all the major areas of the park improvements. 2B, phase 2B includes the development of the pavilion / food court / bathroom facilities, picnic pavilion that's adjacent to the skate park and to the playground. 2B also includes another bathroom facility that's over by the softball field there that you see, kind of immediately adjacent to the men's field and to the softball field. So we don't need to make any decisions about this tonight. The update is basically that the design firm is continuing to work on getting the cost estimates for each of these. And we should be receiving the updated cost estimates. Well, it'll come to the design team on February 18th. And I'll be bringing it to the commission's meeting on the 19th of February. And we need to make a decision that night about, do we want to move ahead with both phases? Phase 1 and 2A and 2B, or do we want to just do phase 1, or do we want to do just phase 1 and phase 2A? These are decisions we have to make because the selectmen need to know by February 20th what we're looking at in terms of a cost that needs to go on that borrowing article. Okay,
Do we still have the Board of Health funds tied to the restroom?
To that-
Septic stuff? or
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
Okay.
and actually, Chris, that was something you were gonna try to make another phone call on. Part of what's being discussed in the design is, do we really need to have that Board of Health money be for a new septic system, or could it be used to instead connect to septic connection that would come off of Mass Ave? So be tied to the town sewer rather than an individual septic system.
So I asked this last week, it was last week or the week before, when I was in talking with Angela and the Board of Health admin came in. Now, I have to say, she's the admin, so she doesn't have the final say in it, but when I said, asked for clarification, she said that it could only be used for the septic. I said, well, could we use it to tie in to sewer? She told me no, but I think it's,
I thought it was hinged up using that existing
yeah.
field. So that,
Yeah, so I think there needs to be a conversation that happens beyond, their admin. I think that probably a conversation needs to be had with their chair
Mhm.
to try to figure out some of this, because I thought at one point I had heard that we could, as long as we were doing something similar, we could, but then she corrected me, so I'm still not convinced of the whole thing.
Dave was here, he would have.
Okay, Chris, have you had a chance to reach out to anyone at Board of Health yet on that?
I briefly talked to the admin and it sounded a little more hopeful when I talked to her. I'll touch base with her again tomorrow morning and see, and if it needs to go to the board, I'll find out. And we get along pretty well being in the same building, so maybe I can talk her into it. But let me I would like to get something in writing so we have that for sure.
Yes. Okay, let me know if you need us to attend any Board of Health meeting or whatever. Okay,
Question on the like looking at 1 and then 2A,
Mhm.
just how it's segmented. The walk, like looking at the walkways, not the ball field itself, but
Yeah.
the walkway
yeah,
piece. I'm wondering if there's a way to the kind of the loop, just for a continuity's sake and like some open green space. Is there a way to bring like phase 1 around that kind of curve loop as opposed to it ending?
No, because right now by keeping it the way it is, keeping it there, it would, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, Anita, it means that the softball field doesn't have to be moved. We won't lose use of the softball field, and so.
That's
Right.
correct, Karen.
Yeah.
That's why they changed it.
yeah.
Got it, okay, that makes sense.
Because we did
Okay.
make the commitment that
That's right,
as we were
the-
moving ahead, our phases would be very specific
Yeah.
and would allow other areas not within that phase to continue to be used fully.
Yeah, or
there-
cut it slightly shorter than maybe, like it looks, and it's, I mean, I'm nitpicking on the drawing, but it looks like just kind of this walkways that will just kind of abruptly.
They will end, but you know, the long term, we need to
depending
look
on
at
how
it
we
in terms
move
of
forward,
long term.
yeah.
The other thing that, just to note here is, on the walkway that's, just north of the playground area, you see kind of a dark area there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that it is, stairways. There, because of the elevation change there, the only way to do it is to put in stairs there. But it's still handicapped accessible from parking, et cetera, because people can come around to the underside of the skate park to access the courts.
What's the other dark?
That, I think, is the handicapped curbing, et cetera.
Okay, so not stairs,
Right, no,
okay,
No.
but the little blue, the little dark.
but that
squares,
other dark,
stairs.
yeah, is
Okay.
stairs. Yeah. So, so any questions on that right now? in terms of where
No,
design is moving ahead?
So I'm not gonna be at the February 19th meeting, but I will obviously be at the next, there's at least one more
Design team.
design team
Yeah.
meeting that I'll be at, and then, I'll make sure that one of you has my thoughts beforehand so that you can, or, you know, whatever, however.
Okay,
Eloquently recite them.
Are those walkways gonna be paved? I assume all that's gonna be paved.
there'll be, the walkways will end up being, I believe it's concrete.
Hmm.
It's concrete, right, Chris?
The walkways. You know, that's a good question, because around the ones around the rest of the field, we had talked about asphalt. I'm not sure how Ray has it drawn at the moment. Let me see if I can find it in his details. But the walkways that are 8 feet wide were planned to be asphalt, was my understanding.
Okay. I'm just gonna put a question mark on that. Versus concrete. Okay. All right, any other questions?
No, this is great, thank you.
Okay, one thing I wanted to say is that the designer was looking for a little bit more input. And Chris, perhaps you can guide me in this. They're wondering, do we need lights on the access drive-in from, Mass Ave?
I don't think we had ever, Chris, you, and feel free to chime in, I don't think we had ever talked about putting access lights in, going in there.
I mean, we had lights going in along where the parking area is, and it doesn't extend much further than that. So my gut tells me adding one or two more is probably a wise thing to do, just as you get into, you know, spring and fall ball, it gets dark early and, you know, as it is right now, there's a tree out by the edge of the road I'd love to knock down because you can't see anything pulling out of that side.
Right. True.
Okay,
The walkways
And-
right now are shown as, asphalt, by the way.
okay, asphalt, okay. All right, the other thing that they were looking for feedback on, Chris, was the announcer booths for the fields. We can't build two-story booths anymore because they won't be handicapped accessible.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
So, you know, the question is, if we try to build two levels, it would be very expensive.
Yeah, and
So do we just do single level, or do we not even do them at this point?
Should have like a booth next to the dugout, where the guy can just sit in there and just announce.
Could they do, like, I mean, just like, so. In the fine details, like storage and things like that, like, is it worth doing one structure? Between the two, so you have like an announcer booth,
like right
On one
here
end,
with windows out each
like an
side.
announcer booth on one end and an announcer booth on the other end, and storage in between kind of deal, like a storage shed in between kind of scenario? So it's just one.
Question, do one combined?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if that's,
It
you
may
know,
not be doable, but it's a good question.
but like, I know storage is gonna be something that we are gonna want
But-
and need. And
I
so
think
maybe-
based, not, didn't even think about the ADA stuff in terms of that before. But based on that, then yeah, I guess we would go with a one-story. Whether it be a combined thing where we can put storage in the middle and booths on the end, or whether it be two separate things that, yeah, we'd have.
Or
to
two
do.
smaller booths with storage
We'd have
kind
to
of
do,
deal, that's what we do.
So guys, we already have some storage shown by the dumpster pad. There is a little garage there.
Yeah,
And we talked about some storage on the ends of the dugouts as well. My gut tells me financially, let's run, you know, a power and a water line to the locations for the booths and leave them off entirely at this time. And, you know, maybe we get somebody to donate a booth and, you know, 2 stories isn't gonna happen. We could potentially elevate it a couple of feet and ramp. But the other option is you can always stick a camera on top of the thing and have someone inside be able to see that
Mhm.
way.
They just have a camera on a pole.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think what I heard you say, Chris, is that we would just allow for utilities to be brought to those areas and capped off, and booths could be built later.
Yeah, I think that's our best bet. It's, you know, I think anything we do, someone's gonna have a comment about it from not understanding ADA. And,
Mhm.
you know, maybe we get some donations after the fact if someone wants their name on it and, you know, as it is right now, you know, the Powell family and Gatsby Grounds donated, you know, the grass and the dugouts that are out there now. So I'm sure there'll be some more of that.
Yeah. Okay, Chris, the other thing that they were talking about was the existing memorials or monuments, stones, et cetera. The expectation is we do want to have those relocated on Marshall Park property, just to area to be determined. So
Yeah, I
everyone
think
agree
the
to-
only one we knew where it was going is the scoreboard for the 90-foot diamond.
Yeah.
Is gonna, wherever the scoreboard, wherever it lands, but that's gonna stay as a scoreboard. The
Mhm.
rest of the memorials, we'll probably have to kind of look at, and I don't know, how many of those memorials still have people with living relatives in town and that type of thing. I'm kind of looking at you, Karen, because you seem to be our historian.
I'd have to go back in my notes, Chris, and look. And I feel like there's a couple of things that were like, I didn't even realize that they were there type situations. But I think if anything, trying to grab the, because even our announcing booths that are not going to be reusable, at least the one for the softball, I think that's named after somebody. So
Susan Ware, wasn't it?
yeah, so, I'm wondering if maybe we can figure out a way, like, nothing major, just even if it's trying to save some of the sign that's on it or something to keep some of the history, that sort of thing. But I'll go back in my notes, Chris, and see what else was out there.
Flags, that's what we-
Feel like it was crazy.
There is a
think-
survey that has all of it listed.
Flagpole has a big
Dugouts.
stone with
You're
it.
right. there
So
is.
I think that's the batting cage, batting practice cage. So I don't know exactly where. the
Right,
score-
those are the-
Yeah, I don't know.
Alright.
Hey, Chris,
Yep,
Tim asked the question, on the design, where does it show the planned, announcing booths and scoreboards?
The little
It-
white box, I think, right? The little light colored boxes, probably.
the little light colored boxes, behind home plate on each are what they were showing for the announcers booths. I'm guessing at this
Oh.
level drawing, he's not showing anything as far as, certainly not on this sheet, as far as a scoreboard. You wouldn't be able to see it.
Okay,
Gotcha.
okay.
You know,
But we'll
just
have
for
those-
just for reference, the the foul line on the 90-foot field shown is 300
Yeah.
feet. So, if you're looking at that compared to other stuff, it gets, something 8 feet long, it's pretty small.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm saying for like utilities, where they would put them.
Okay. Any other questions?
Yeah, this is great.
Okay, all right. Let's see. Do we have, I don't think there's anything else that we need from Chris. Does anyone have any last minute questions for him before we let him go? Okay, so, Chris, thank you so much for joining us tonight remotely. We appreciate it.
Yep, and if you need anything else, just shoot me a text. I should be able to answer it.
Okay, all right, thank you.
All right, thanks, guys.
Okay,
Bye,
so,
Chris.
good night. So in terms of next steps, in preparation for town meeting, so, we've got a lot on our plate for that February 19th meeting in terms of getting information to the Board of Selectmen. They still, want to work collaboratively with us to kind of put their, construction projects in line with this Marshall Park renovation project. Excuse me. Whether it ends up being one article or multiple articles, they really want to try to look at it in terms of the, whole impact to the tax base, to the taxpayers, so not so much looking at it as, just a one minor project by itself, but looking at what the impact would be for all the things that are potentially going to be discussed at town meeting. So I don't know if you guys have been watching selectmen meetings to see what they're talking about, but, they're looking at, building renovations, improvements, a lot.
Hmm.
So,
Gonna stand out on this one a little bit.
yeah, I can understand why they're trying to look at it as a larger scale package to the town, so. We need to try to do our best to work with them as best we can and see where this goes. And if at any point along the way, we have concerns about that, I would hope that you would all be honest and express that so we can share concerns with the Board of Selectmen.
Let me ask you a quick question, Nita. So the building reuse committee, as far as I'm concerned, doesn't have the best track record right now of gaining support from townspeople when they go in front of the town for that project. If it goes through as one article, I guess my question would be, and the answer doesn't need to be tonight, is if it goes through as one and the townsfolk decide that they don't wanna support the buildings, would it be able to be, would parks be able to be pulled out if we did have people that wanted to support that piece of it, but not the other piece? That would be my only, that's really my only concern about, a merged article, or it could also work the other way. The people may not wanna support parks, but they wanna support
Something.
the town buildings. So I would like to be able to know that both groups would have some security to know that it could be, pulled out if need be.
You're hitching your wagon to.
Right, and that's hard,
The
right?
only concern that
It's hard.
I would.
I mean,
that I would have.
personally, I would think that if it ends up being one article, it would be an itemized article.
Okay,
So that, motions could be made to adjust the article to remove items,
okay,
if there doesn't appear to be support for them. That's my understanding as to how it would work, but I can double check that with the Board of Selectmen or Town Manager. And if necessary, to check with Town Council, just to confirm that that expectation is correct.
Cool.
So, good question.
Yeah.
and it's both sides, and I probably shouldn't have, I think I used building reuse in the wrong way. It supported the buildings. That's, I feel like we've kicked the building can down the road for forever, so, I don't want either one of us, our projects, to tie up the other project.
Okay, good. Any other questions about all that we're kind of? It's gonna be an interesting spring from February on in terms of moving this ahead.
I had a quick question.
Yep.
So on phase 2A, baseball fields and softball fields, when they say they're redoing them. To what extent? Like, are they ripping them completely out?
The whole thing, so,
And then new soil and all that, or they're just refreshing them,
No, the most work will be on the men's field. Because there needs to be drainage underneath the field
Hmm,
and then new soils put back on
okay,
top. The softball field is not as bad. The drainage there is, I think, pretty good. I don't recall that there's much drainage that needs to be done
Yeah.
in or around that field. It's my understanding it's more just realigning it for the new configuration.
I just think that maybe a question someone would ask at,
it will,
why are we spending all this money when we haven't? Well, it's a lot more than what you see.
yeah,
Yeah, and we've always said that, the ladies' field will pretty much be the lesser
Hmm,
impacted with any renovation work.
yeah,
It's the men's field that's always needed to have.
but
I
it's
mean,
not like we're just picking up the softball field and twisting it, putting it back back down with lines and a new fence location. It's gonna have to be moved in, the topsoil, like everything is
yeah.
it'll be regraded.
Yeah, I
like
don't know if there's
everything
like
that.
throwing some new sand down on.
No, no,
that.
no.
No, I mean,
And it will be seeded
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
or whatever they
Yeah.
decide to do for the grass.
it's just not as major of a project as the men's field will be.
Right.
But both fields will essentially be new.
Yes.
Yes,
Or not essentially, they will be new.
Now,
fields.
And which probably doesn't hurt to say it now, because we're gonna have to say it many times as we prepare for, town meeting discussion.
hmm,
When the fields are being worked on, people need to have an expectation that these fields will not be able to be used for a period of time, whether it's 1 year or 2 seasons.
Yeah.
Because that new seeding needs to take place. That field needs to, generate that turf. And, you just can't use them right away. So in the same manner that we had, kids having to wait to use the fields when the school was rebuilt, we're facing the same thing here. It's normal. It's part of the project. People will get frustrated. But we
Do you
need to look at it in terms of the long-term impact,
Yeah.
positive impact.
do you think that's something you'd have to put fencing up around while the grass is establishing? Or, I can guarantee people will sneak in after they.
well, there will be some fencing around it anyway.
Yeah.
And I would assume that the gate would just remain locked.
Yeah,
There is not a tall enough fence that we could put in that
yeah,
would prevent anybody from who wanted to get in
yeah,
from getting in.
gotcha.
So it would be like the same thing happened. The schools were being built, they used the fencing that they have there,
Mhm.
and the
Yeah.
gates were just locked and it was posted. We'd have to do the same thing here with probably a little bit more drive-by, you know, eyes on the
Policing.
projects, yep.
When, now when those fields aren't being used by the school, by the teams,
Mhm.
can anyone go on those or are they gonna be blocked off to just, okay,
Anybody.
Cool.
They're public fields, anybody can use them now.
yeah,
Anybody can, and they don't have to be just used for softball or
Right.
baseball. So if somebody wants to go out with their kid and throw a football around, soccer
Yeah.
ball, if they wanna go and have a picnic lunch, when those fields are not in use, they're open to the public for any
Okay.
use that they want, with the exception of using the fields, like the 3 grass fields at Marshall as a, you know, for their dogs.
right.
Right. Okay.
Cool.
All right, so I'll continue to bring updates to you all on this. And, if you think of any other questions in the meantime, before our next meeting, let me know.
Did you get an answer from Carter on the grant stuff?
No, I have not. Thanks for reminding me.
Cause I do think that that will have to be one thing that, you know, part of what, this commission did when both times that we've been in front of the town meeting, you know, we brought up grants. That was one of our big parts of this.
Mhm.
So I think to be able to answer some of those questions that I would hope would come up when we come forward again. Are you applying for those grants again? What's the plan? I think we need to have a solid answer on that.
Mhm. Yep, okay. All right, invoices to be approved. We don't have any at this point. There were a few ones that came in that Karen and I authorized and signed off on, as you've given us permission to do. Earth Day cleanup, we kind of pushed this off. We were talking about whether or not the Parks Commission wants to formally be involved, or do we just want to leave it as we did last year and just individually be involved as we were able to be?
Was it not formal involvement last?
Was not formal last
It
year.
wasn't? Okay. I thought it was formal.
I think I'm tapped out time-wise. It's my real hesitation in saying that as a commission, we should be formally involved.
I think it worked I think it worked great last year.
Yeah,
I'd be in favor of the same setup, which I think seemed like Colleen was as well. I think that worked
When is Earth Day?
well.
We usually do an Earth Month.
April 20th,
Oh, okay.
somewhere on the 19th, April 19th or something like that. Is Earth Day.
Last year, we did it over.
But it spanned the whole
couple
month.
weeks.
Got it.
Yeah,
There were projects for like 3 weeks.
All right,
yeah.
Yeah.
As different groups were available, they would go off and do their own areas.
April 22nd.
So that's,
Tuesday.
I suppose.
nice,
So if you have a thought of something around town you wanted, you can
yeah,
set up a group and they'll.
If I could plant something in your head,
yeah,
since you have the little kids.
Yeah.
Families have always been welcome at all of our events, but a lot of our events bring in the teenagers and they bring in the high school kids from the thing. It'd be really cool, I think, if we could figure out something, it could be small, be very small, on how to bring in some of the younger, like the little people.
Oh, yeah.
You know, to
I
try
know
to
my
get
daughter,
them.
she's got gardening gloves, she loves to like. plant
Yes,
stuff.
and I'm happy to help you come up
Bring
with
all
that.
her friends,
And it might not even, you know, by Earth Day, it doesn't have to, we focused on cleanup in the past. But you know, when it involves little people, I can't say no, so
They
if
love
we could
picking
think of
up trash.
something, even if it's, whether it be, you know, have them pick up trash, but we could also throw in like you know, I could grab a couple of packets of seeds and they can plant you know, a flower on the way out, you know, that
Yeah,
sort of thing. I think that's one of the age groups, even now in our programming, the little ones, we don't offer a lot for that because it's always, we need parental involvement, it's, we
Yeah.
don't
Yeah,
have a drop off for that. So it'd be nice if we could figure out something that we could do for that, with that age group and obviously their
be
parents or
sweet.
somebody.
Yeah, maybe like a little seminar of like how to plant, like get a bunch of little things they can plant the seed.
You know,
in.
we might even be able to do something, you know, in a place where they're comfortable, like the library, or maybe we, you know, we walk around. You know, one of the playgrounds and, you know, look for trash or whatever it is, pick up sticks.
Yeah.
You
Kids
know,
love a good game of I Spy. I
exactly.
Spy. Oh, okay. Come on, they get all jacked up. Yeah, you better get it before he gets it.
Even if it's, you know, potting seeds that they then, you know, plant at their own homes, but have it be like visible from the roadway.
Yeah.
Remember that huge thing that was going around a few years ago where people would be planting daffodil bulbs? And they would, you know, the towns would give out daffodil bulbs, but they just had to plant them somewhere where they could be seen by the roadway.
That's cool. That's a
So-
cool idea.
Yeah,
Neat.
yeah. So maybe,
That's a great
you know, that'd be perfect for little kids planting the seeds and then, you know, have them take them home and plant them at their own
Yeah,
house.
that and, I don't know if the church at the corner still does it, but they used to do a vegetable garden. We could, you know,
Mhm.
certainly throw
Oh, he's got that
throw
raised bed up
together,
front there.
Yeah.
you know, some vegetable seeds that, you know, they can raise and then bring back to the church and the church can plant them, that sort of thing. We can come up with anything. I just think that
Okay.
age group would be really cool, and you've got the kids in that.
Oh,
age
yeah,
group.
well, I heard about her petting zoo, and I was like, oh, man, we're going to that. And then my wife was like, we're not gonna be around that weekend. I was like, that sounds awesome. I wanna go. No, you're right, that's a good idea.
Okay. All right, master planning committee assignment, we, didn't take any action on this. Karen gave a rousing.
You missed it. So I resigned from the master planning steering committee because it was just, it needs to be reorganized.
Yeah,
And I did let them know that, and I did let them know that we didn't assign anybody else, but I can tell you that I have also been following to see if they plan something else, and I have not seen another meeting come through. So at this point, I'm not sure anybody needs to be hard pressed to join that committee, because they're not.
because nothing's happening.
Nothing's happening.
All right, so we'll still have no action taken. If it sounds like there's an immediate need, we'll bring this back up sometime in the future. Okay, chair updates.
Read the minutes, though, is there anything?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, here's probably minutes that I was supposed to bring to you guys, and I didn't. I am so sorry. Just popped into my head now.
that's okay. Just a quick update, we did receive kind of a thank you from the skate park group. You know, our support of what they're doing by, you know, adjusting the timeframes where they can get in and do the construction necessary for the skate park. So, you know, I thought that was nice of them to pass those around for people to look at. So they obviously are still working to try to complete their financing. They're still looking to, well, their letter says they're still looking to try to raise another $50,000. But they were very appreciative of, you know, the fact that we gave them time into this year's construction season to get their work done. Okay.
I feel like I've watched these boys grow up. I
You,
literally have, but.
yeah, so you have, right? Few of them, anyway.
Okay, does anyone else have any other updates that we wanna
No,
put
I
forward?
do have a question for Tim, though. Are you getting the emails on open space and the meetings?
I don't think so.
Okay, I don't know when they are, but somebody had reached out to me and they said, do you know Tim's not coming to our meetings? I'm like, how would I know that?
Yeah,
You may want to reach out. I don't know who their chair is. Actually, I do know who their chair is, but I can't remember who it is. It's a gentleman. You may want to see if you can figure out who that is and reach out to him, see when their next meeting
Up on the
is.
website,
Okay.
what's the chair?
Yeah,
yeah, I'm getting email.
I don't know how they do it,
Website.
because I haven't been on, I have not been on that open space committee in a couple of years. Mr. Toohill. Is it
Oh.
Mike Toohill?
Michael Toohill.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll reach out to him.
Good, okay, thanks. Okay, so we don't have any minutes to approve. Okay, so upcoming meeting dates, we agreed to have a special workshop in early February, February 5th, specifically to work on this concept of Marshall Park user fees, or I should say park user fees. So I'm committed to trying to pull together information from the other quote unquote comparable communities as to what they charge. The different sports groups that come in. The other things that we need to talk about, as you may recall from that conversation. You know, we really need to understand what is our expectation in terms of what these fees will do? What is our goal for, you know, use of the fee revenue, that type of thing, so. That'll be what we're gonna focus on February 5th. I might add another small agenda item or whatever, but it would be minor compared to the fact that that evening is meant to focus on park user fees. Okay,
Our existing fees, I know we have, obviously have the fees, are they posted on Myra?
Should be.
they should be by now. And then we have our regular February meeting on February 19th, and as I mentioned before, that one's gonna be a big
Mhm.
discussion about what we want to do in terms of going to town meeting with the Marshall Park phasing. Okay. Any other board comments? Okay, we have, anyone else, the public
Any-
available on Zoom? I don't believe so.
You're gonna go
It's just
to,
us.
Myra and then go
Okay.
to, general info.
Okay,
General.
we have no other business, so unless there's anything else that people have concerns about that we want to quickly talk about before we adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn at 7:59.
Okay, second.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.